that this is an incredibly powerful storm. I mean, this is the radar looking at what we call hydrometeors, the things floating around in there, rain, hail, debris, whatever. It's moving in opposite directions from each other. You can see that very clearly here. It's not always this obvious. This is more of a textbook example that has the hook as well that tells you a lot about how strong of a storm system this is. So you don't always get this, but that's what we're getting now. And it's nighttime. People don't see this coming. Yes, there's a lot of lightning. I've been turning it on occasionally. We're turning it off because there's so much lightning you can't even see the radar. And so just for tracking purposes, we're keeping it off. Remember, tornado on the ground with this. We do know that. We know there's a tornado on the ground. This is a dangerous situation. If you have family, friends that live anywhere near this, or anybody traveling on I-69 right now, please reach out to them. Call them as many times as you need to. Be annoying. That's fine. This is a life-threatening storm. There is a tornado on the ground. It has a history of producing damage. It will likely produce more damage. And it seems to be extremely strong still. As you look at the last several scans, you can see moving through. It's just as strong. It hasn't really changed much. We still see what we call the debris ball on there as well. That's a tool we can use to see inside a storm. There's a better view there. But either way, this is a very dangerous storm.
News One's Jonathan Gregg in Mayfield, Kentucky. I've been here for well more than an hour, and as soon as I arrived, I followed along with a rescue team from Cuba Fire Department. It's one of the many fire departments, EMS departments that have descended onto Mayfield to help do search and rescue. Go from home to home, structure to structure. Every car, they are checking to see if anyone is inside, if anyone needs help. As you can see, this is an incredible amount of damage. I have not seen one structure that has been untouched by this incredibly strong storm. Homes are leveled. I've seen dozens of homes absolutely leveled by this tornado. Homes with their roofs torn off. There is siding, there is aluminum steel, there is debris absolutely everywhere, and you can hear that debris chiming in the trees. The trees have been stripped of bark, of their limbs. It is an unthinkable amount of damage that has happened here in Mayfield. I spoke right away with their fire chief, and his name is Jeremy Creason. He says there are deaths. He doesn't know how many. He won't know for some time. The sun won't come up for another hour, so we won't even get a the full scope of this damage until then. It is an incredible sight, and Mayfield right now needs all the help they can get, and we'll continue to be here and show you what is happening. But a immensely powerful tornado has ripped right through Mayfield, Kentucky. That's the latest here in Mayfield. I'm Jonathan Gregg reporting for Spectrum News.
One of the deadliest storms in Kentucky history strikes the Commonwealth 2 weeks before Christmas Day. We've been on the air continuously covering those storms overnight and into the morning. Now Governor Andy Beshear reports at least 50 people were killed in southwestern Kentucky and says that number could rise to 100. And this is the scene from Mayfield, where Governor Beshear says multiple people were killed after the tornado ripped the roof from a candle factory in the city. Spectrum News 1 reporter Jonathan Gregg is in Mayfield right now with a look at the destruction.
I'm Jonathan Gregg in Mayfield, Kentucky, and the sun has come up revealing just how devastating this tornado has been to this community of about 10,000 people. It has ripped through the heart of this community, and I have yet to see a building that hasn't been severely damaged by these very powerful winds. Many of the homes look like the one behind me completely leveled. And as I got here before sunrise, I followed along with several search and rescue crews as they went door to door, house to house, trying to find anyone who may need help. Almost unspeakable what has happened here. The fire department has also been severely damaged. I spoke this morning with its fire chief, Mr. Jeremy Creason, and he says there are fatalities. He doesn't know the number yet because that search and rescue operation is ongoing. But as you can see from this video, an unspeakable amount of damage has been done. But that's the latest here. We'll continue to provide as many updates as we can. As soon as we get more information, we'll pass that along to you. That's the latest here in Mayfield, Kentucky. I'm Jonathan Gregg reporting for Spectrum News.
Jonathan, thanks for that report and be safe out there.
You're watching Spectrum News 1, Kentucky's 24-hour home for news and weather. I'm Lachlan McLean. Thanks for joining us as we continue our coverage of the tragic tornado that ripped through southwest Kentucky last night, leading to dozens of deaths. And the most of the damage occurred in Mayfield, Kentucky. This is drone video now provided by Senator Whitney Westerfield from the state of Kentucky. Mayfield, a town of just under 10,000 people, again in Graves County, about 27 miles south of Paducah, to orient you, 20 miles west of Murray. But the tornado, which was on the ground for over 200 miles through 4 different states, did much of its damage right here in Mayfield. At least 50 Kentuckians are being reported dead. We do expect that number to rise. We'll hear from Governor Beshear shortly, but as you can see, the damage is just extensive. As our reporter Jonathan Gregg said in one of his earlier reports, everywhere you look is the worst thing you've ever seen. And this process of cleaning up and still identifying exactly what has happened is one that will take some time, and of course we will continue to cover it. Again, these pictures on the ground in Mayfield, Kentucky, in the southwest part of the state. But this tornado also hit other parts of the state as well. Again, a wide path of destruction. This video from Warren County, where Bowling Green was hit as well. Of course, a huge chunk of the state in the southwest lost power. There was a power loss at Western Kentucky, and they canceled commencement ceremonies for today. Same deal at Murray State, canceling graduation exercises. And there is at least one death reported. A Western Kentucky student who was scheduled to graduate today tragically passed away in his off-campus apartment. But again, the destruction just absolutely tragic everywhere you look. And just within the last few moments, we were able to catch up with Governor Beshear, our Jonathan Gregg with the governor, and he provides an update now.
Well, the damage here is catastrophic. This is the single deadliest weather, certainly tornado event in our history. It's impacted at least a dozen counties. We're going to have deaths in at least 10 counties. The loss of life, I believe, is north of 70, maybe north of 100 as we begin to dig out. There are whole towns that half of it's gone, and we're going to have the National Guard going door to door where there are doors, or rubble to rubble, to look for survivors. It's really hard, but we're strong. We're going to work together, we're going to grieve together, and we're going to rebuild together.
With your powers, what have you done? What have you got moving?
So we declared a state of emergency before midnight last night. We've deployed over 180 National Guardsmen, and that number is now increasing. We have a federal state of emergency that we've requested that is about to be granted. We have the Transportation Cabinet and every county that's been hit with 50, 100 plus big trucks out there helping to remove debris. Our Division of Forestry is out. Our emergency management working directly with each local emergency management to augment their needs, bringing in ambulances and others. The answer is everything I can do and everything we're asked for, we're trying to do.
2 groups of people. What do you tell the people living in Mayfield and the other towns hit?
We are one Kentucky. We love you. We're going to stand with you, not just today, but in the months and the years to come. We're going to grieve with you, and we're going to rebuild with you.
To folks that are outside of the damage area, what should they do? What should they do?
Pray for our brothers and sisters here in Kentucky and in Western Kentucky. Look for ways to help. We're going to be setting up a fund at the state specifically to help this area. We'll have those details out here soon, but you can be assured that if you want to help in terms of dollars, that it's going to go where it's needed the most.
I know you're going to a couple different locations. Have you been in the downtown area? How much of the damage have you seen?
So we've been out to the candle factory, and one of the most devastating, difficult scenes that I've ever witnessed. It's worse than anything you'd even put on or see on TV. It's indescribable. We're going through downtown and then headed to Dawson Springs, where my family is from, where I spent 8 hours in the middle of the night trying to get in touch with my relatives, and there's going to be a significant loss of life there too.
There you see an emotional Governor Andy Beshear again reacting to the devastation in southwestern Kentucky. We do want to issue a correction, a clarification. Western Kentucky University had originally issued a statement saying a student died today in an off-campus apartment. They have now clarified that it was not a student, but rather a close relative instead. As the sun rose and you were able to get a sense of this destruction, Jonathan, I know you've been passing along video for us. It is just absolutely heartbreaking. Set the scene for us now, if you would.
Well, it is heartbreaking what has happened to this community, but right now we had people sifting through their debris, the rubble of their homes. Many of the homes have been flattened. So you had people returning to this area beginning around 9 and 10 this morning after the sun came up to see if there was anything left. Now we have those people, but also volunteers have started to pour into the city. You can see how congested it is behind me at one of the main intersections in town. I'm right across from the city hall and the police department, and here's an example of volunteers right now. They're securing the windows and all that broken glass. They're putting up plyboard on the police department in City Hall. You have people coming in from Paducah that are bringing food and clothes and blankets. One thing I will tell you right now is from the time that I got here at 3:30 a.m. until now, the temperature has dropped about 20 degrees. It is cold now as people are without power. Obviously, the entire town is shut off from that. There are some people who were trying to stay in their homes throughout the morning because they didn't have anywhere else to go. It is still an incredibly dangerous situation, a dynamic situation. Thankfully, we have been finding and meeting those people, the survivor stories of miraculously surviving this horrific tornado. I'm going to introduce you to two men who survived even though their homes do not have basements. Rick Foley says the tornado hit around 9:30 Friday night.
Sorry, I get a little choked up.
Who wouldn't be?
Just roared. It roared. It didn't blow. It roared.
David Turner is Foley's next door neighbor.
Well, the typical sounded like a train, and I jumped into the hallway and it hit, and my ears popped, and I knew everything was going to go to hell then.
And everything did go to hell. Everywhere you look is devastation. The death toll is expected to surpass 70 people across 10 Kentucky counties.
Saw the wall had come down on one side of the house, and the walls on the other side blew out. There's a hallway between probably...
Neither Foley or Turner have a basement, so both men threw themselves on to a hallway floor. And even though their homes were destroyed, the roofs torn off, these men survived.
By the grace of God.
They know that much. But what happens next is hard to tell.
Waiting on my sister to help me collect what I can and start going through everything and saving what I can and start over.
In Mayfield, Jonathan Gregg, Spectrum News. You know, heartbreaking learning as the hours went on, heartbreaking learning about how many people have died in that candle factory, and then throughout the 10 other counties throughout Kentucky. We are seeing examples of people coming together, trying to help, even, you know, people that are volunteering to cover up broken glass. You have people that are bringing clothes and bringing food to the families that are going through their the wreckage across this hill. It is incredibly difficult scene to take in over the course of a day, but we'll continue to bring you updates as they become available. It's locked.
And Jonathan, I mean, at this point you said it's starting to get colder. Eventually the sun goes down. As you talk to the people there, do they plan, the people that survive, the people that still have livable dwellings, do they plan to just continue to stay? I'm surprised to hear there's not an exodus out of there.
Right, this town is so congested right now, and it's people that are trying to get to their homes or trying to get to people to help. And I've talked to talked to people whose homes were destroyed, and they were waiting for family members to drive in to take them to shelter, to take them to safety. So I imagine you're going to see that. We haven't seen any portable lights set up yet, but you're right. I mean, it gets dark early, so as people, if they're still here, it's going to be hard to see unless they start putting up emergency lights. So it is cold now. It is cold. It was very warm when after the storm came through. That is all gone. The situation is going to be it's not going to be good after the sun comes down, Locke.
That is our Jonathan Gregg.
It's already not good.
Yeah, exactly. That is our Jonathan Gregg in Graves County. Thank you, Jonathan, for that report.
Locke, it is truly a punch to the stomach as you pull into Mayfield and you see just how many homes look like this. I cannot imagine how terrifying it must have been for anyone in the path of the storm last night. When you walk through here, we're just off of Broadway. We've seen homes with the roofs ripped off, trees toppled, some of these homes decorated for the holidays. I walked around here and just saw unbelievable damage. I talked to a woman who was on the phone with her daughter who lives in this neighborhood. She rushed here after the storm came through. She says that 2 adults and 2 children were in that home. They survived. They did not have any injuries. Here's what else she told me.
Was talking to me, and then I could hear the debris, and there's like a shake up, and then next thing I know, she just got cut out, and I couldn't get a hold of her no more. So I flew all the way from Farmington to down here, and I've been here with me and my son, walking up and down the streets all night to see if we can help some people. And here I am again, and we just came in here just to get some stuff out of here. I don't even know how they survived. They were in a small little closet, and I just don't understand how. I mean, it's a blessing that they made it, but when I came here her daddy came to pull her out, and I looked at it, it's like, that's God right there.
And tonight you can hear the sound of heavy machinery, of chainsaws, as help has been arriving throughout the afternoon. But it's getting colder. We're losing daylight. And it is clear that this community is going to need so much help in the weeks ahead. We'll be here to cover the recovery. And that's the latest here from Mayfield. Well, I am joined by the fire chief, Jeremy Creason, who has lived in Mayfield his whole life. This has been an incredibly long day, a long night for you. Tell me about last night.
We had been tracking the weather all day. I just out of precaution, I called in a few extra personnel for the night. I decided to come in. When I got to the station, the news was on, and they were tracking a large tornado in the Tiptonville, Tennessee area, tracking towards West Kentucky and Graves County. We watched, and as the tornado got closer, we started seeing all those telltale signs that it got calm, and then you kind of hear that sound of a freight train, and then the next thing you know, you see what happened. It was probably personally one of the scariest things that I've ever been through. And then after the tornado came through, immediately the emergency sirens and tones started going off. And in order to be able to respond, we actually had to, our main station was so damaged that we had to rip the doors off the building just so we could get our own fire apparatus and ambulances out. And then when we got out on the streets, there was so much debris everywhere. It was almost impossible to get to our patients and to the people that needed us. So it was a very challenging night. Fortunately, we have a lot of good citizens in the community. We had a lot of farmers brought in some big, heavy equipment. They plowed a path for us, so we were able to get out to those people that needed us.
And your home is okay. Your family is okay.
Yes, ma'am. The part of Graves County that I live in had very mild weather, just a little bit of rain and mild winds. But just 5 miles to the west, you can see the devastation.
What was your team up to today? I can't even imagine. When we look around us behind you, homes have the tops ripped off. There's trees everywhere. There's just debris everywhere. What was your crew able to accomplish today?
We had to evacuate and a long-term care facility and some sheltered in place, but we had patients we had to evacuate due to a collapse. We had a manufacturing facility here in town that collapsed. Where somewhere between 110 and 130 people were in that building. We're still doing rescue operations out there, doing some recovery at this time, and then just going door to door in the community, looking for victims, taking care of the walking wounded as they came to the station, working with our hospital, working with our partners in the community. We had mutual aid, I believe ambulances from 11 different counties.
You said that this fire department, which sustained quite a bit of damage, was one of the only places with light last night.
We have a generator just for these types of situations. When the tornado came through, it knocked out the power for the entire city. But the Mayfield Fire Department, our Station 1, and it was kind of a beacon of light, and so it drew a lot of people. And so when people came out of their homes and they were looking for a safe place to go, they came to our station.
I saw that some people were bringing blankets tonight. What do you need? How can the rest of Kentucky help Mayfield?
The needs right now. Yesterday it was almost 70 degrees when the tornado came through, and right now we're dipping down into the low 30s. We're in a community right now that doesn't have electricity. A lot of places don't have natural gas. No residents in the city have water right now. So, we're living without utilities, and it's going to be below freezing tonight. So, I'm worried about a lot of citizens not being able to stay warm. Where gas is in short supply. There's been a run on gas. Our gas stations will only accept cash. And then just like the basic things like blankets and food and just those daily staples that we take for granted every day. And then right now, for a lot of the citizens in our community, they don't have access to them.
Chief, our hearts are with your community. Thank you so much for speaking with us again. We've been speaking to Chief Jeremy Creason. He is the chief of the Mayfield Fire Department, a community that is going to need a lot of help over the coming weeks. For now, we're live in Mayfield. Erin Kelly, Spectrum News.
All right, Aaron, thank you for that report, and we appreciate the insight from the chief. We should mention that President Biden has approved Kentucky's emergency declaration to accelerate federal aid to the state as we begin the process of recovery. We'll have more on that process coming up throughout the course of the evening. Your weather on the ones, and again, more coverage of the devastating tornadoes in western Kentucky returns. Keep it here on Spectrum News 1. And we've had team coverage of the devastation from across western Kentucky throughout the course of Saturday. Our Erin Kelly made it to Mayfield as the sun set and brings us an update now from Graves County.
I am inside the Mayfield Fire Department, where crews are working to put up plastic sheeting, trying to conserve some of the heat as it gets colder tonight. All 6 of their doors were damaged in the storm. Earlier this afternoon, I walked around and saw some of the homes, just roofs ripped off, toppled trees, some of these homes decorated for the holidays. So much damage, it's just hard to describe here in Mayfield. I talked to a woman who says she was out of town watching her nephew's basketball game and came back and saw just how the landscape of her neighborhood has changed.
It doesn't even feel like home. It doesn't even seem like the same place that it did yesterday. Well, usually I would not be able to see that from my porch. There would be trees and there would be houses and rooftops, and so I can't see that normally.
She did have damage to her home, but she considers herself fortunate when she sees what her neighbors have been going through. In Mayfield, Erin Kelly, Spectrum News.